Okay, I'm doing this more for myself. I don't know if anybody will be interested. So, and I'm using this as my signal so I know which video to title which. So that was my little signal. So there's been a bunch of hoo-ha about Megan, and it's brought up a lot of stuff. So this is off topic, but that kind of inspired and triggered things, and then just where I'm at with the business, and it's winter. I decided this was an interesting topic for me, and it's also to get me back on track. So with the business, I'm pretty much off the rails as far as my normal budgeting. I did much better with children when they were home because I had to be more accountable because I have kids. So with traveling and this, I'm just off track. So this is the reminder for me too that I can get there and I can do it. So today I was going to talk about having a pantry, how I did it, how I'm getting back to it, and the benefits of it as far as budgeting. So when my kids were young and I've started getting it built back up here, I always had pantry items. And it wasn't a prepper thing, that's there but way off, different. So the purpose of it was to help me with my budget, to be prepared for disasters. As far as I used my pantry for 2 months when I had a back injury when I was working and I couldn't work, didn't have any income. I used it during snowstorms, and right now we're having a lot of snow. It's cold. My sleep schedule's jacked up. I don't want to get out and go to the store. And budgeting, I'm using my pantry items. So the way I picked the pantry items was to just have staples that were shelf stable, things that I like, and things that were used for multiple purposes. So it was flour, sugar, some kind of an oil, a syrup, pancake mix that can be used for pancakes and biscuits, pastas, mac and cheese, some beans, and canned vegetables. Because if the electric goes out, your freezer goes out, you can't cook. Canned vegetables are not great cold, but they can eat. Green beans can be eaten out of the can. Weight Watchers have people do it. Just put a little ranch dressing on it, or you can put olive oil on it. You can eat them cold. I prefer them cooked, but I'm just thinking winter options. It's not uncommon for the electric to go out in the winter. Pork and beans can be eaten out of the can cold. So, and they're also all pretty shelf stable. So, and then the way I did that when the kids were little was I always had a specific amount budgeted per payday for groceries. And I always spent that, even if we didn't need it, as long as I could fit it in the budget. Which that was like the top thing that came out. So let's say I already had 10 cans of beans, but I hadn't used as many that time because we were doing whatever. I still got more, so it helped me build up. And then come income tax time, I always took a couple $100s out of the income tax money and got more staples. So that kind of helped me build up. So that's what I have done here too, is I always have a set amount budgeted for groceries. Even if I haven't gone through stuff, I get more, so that kind of just gradually builds up, if that makes sense. It's like during COVID, I have pantry. I didn't run out of toilet paper, and we have plenty of food in the pantry. It might be stuff we get bored of, but we would survive. There was always enough items in the pantry. So I'm getting back at that to help my budget, and I've also trying to use up stock. I was gone for several months this year, traveling, seeing family. So I'm trying to go through my older stock. So it's saving me on my budget because I'm not spending as much, except for what I'm putting back into the new items. But I've cut my grocery budget, like in half for right now. So I'm trying to use up my old stock, so that's saving me as I replenish some. I don't know, hope that makes sense. Then when times are tough and I have to dig into the pantry, that's when I've created some of the most unique recipes. They're not necessarily fancy and frou-frou, but they're survival. So like tonight I dug into the pantry and I did mac and cheese out of a box with stewed tomatoes. So to me it's a comfort food. I like it. Not everybody's going to like it. The tomatoes are seasoned with, they have the Italian seasoning in them, those stewed ones. And then last night I tried something different. I sauteed apples in a skillet with a little bacon grease, onions. I put a little sage in it and then made a grilled cheese sandwich. I gotta say though, the sage, I put the apples back in the fridge. It got really strong setting. So that's something that's not a good leftover if you've got the sage in it. But it was great fresh. What else can I say? So I think I'll share periodically just reminders to myself on getting back on track, and then weird recipes that I've come up with during the times I've had to dig into the pantry. And I don't know, just kind of these are little pointers for tough times for me and for anybody that's interested. There was a lady I watched during COVID that did depression cooking, and she showed herself cooking a lot of fried potatoes. I remember those days. Right now I don't have potatoes in stock. I usually keep a bag, but right now I don't have them. I used those up at Christmas. Haven't restocked. That was something else I did keep in my pantry was potato flakes and powdered milk. And one tip that my grandmother did during tough times is she bought the whole milk and powdered milk, and she mixed the powdered milk and then had a 3rd gallon jug, and she mixed them half and half because powdered milk has a weird flavor, but honestly when she mixed that half and half you could not tell. Couldn't tell. When my kids were little, they would go through a gallon in like an hour, so I switched to powdered milk for them, slow them down a little bit.